In the quiet village of Willowville, Tom and Mary had always been content. Tom worked tirelessly each day, coming home in the evening to his wife, whom he cherished more than anything. Their home was modest, their meals simple, and their possessions few. Yet their love seemed to make up for what they lacked in material wealth. But their simple life began to change when James, the wealthy man from the city, moved into a large mansion with the hill overlooking Willowville. The villagers were in awe of him. James arrived with carriages, fine clothes, and an air of confidence that commanded attention. He quickly made his presence felt, and it wasn't long before he noticed Mary at the village market one morning. The sight of Mary in her simple dress, her graceful movements, and her genuine smile captivated him immediately. James was used to women who admired his wealth and charm, but Mary was different. She seemed innocent, unspoiled by the desires for luxury and riches. James, accustomed to getting what he wanted, decided that Mary should be his. He convinced himself that he could give her a life far better than what Tom, a mere farmer, could ever provide. The same evening, as Tom sat with Mary in their cozy home, enjoying the warmth of their humble fireplace, Mary looked at Tom and felt grateful for the life they had built. But with James's word lingering in her mind, a small voice of doubt surfaced. She dismissed it, trying to focus on the joy she felt being by Tom's side. But the words were persistent, creeping back each time she remembered the way James had looked at her, as if she was meant for more than this simple life. The next day, while Tom was out working in the fields, James arrived at their little home, carrying a gift wrapped in fine cloth. Mary, surprised and a bit flustered by his unexpected visit, invited him inside, not wanting to be rude. "Mary," James began, with a charming smile, "I couldn't help but notice that a woman of your beauty deserves much finer things than what you have here." He placed the wrapped gift in her hands. Mary looked down, unsure of what to say. She felt both flattered and uneasy. She opened the gift to find a beautiful silk scarf in a deep, rich shade of blue. She had never owned anything so luxurious. Her cheeks flushed as she touched the soft fabric. "Oh, I can't accept this, James. It's too much," she protested, though her fingers lingered on the fabric. "Nonsense, Mary. A woman like you deserves to be surrounded by beauty," James replied, his voice smooth and confident. "You could have more than this if you were with me. Imagine living in my mansion, surrounded by servants, beautiful things, and a life of ease. No more dusty fields or old clothes." Mary felt her heart pound as he spoke. She couldn't deny that the thought of such a life was tempting. That night, as she and Tom sat down to a simple meal, Mary found herself distracted, unable to shake the image of herself in fine clothes, living in luxury. She glanced at Tom, covered in dust from the fields, his hands rough from work. Though she loved him dearly, she couldn't help but wonder why he didn't try to give her more. "Tom," she began, trying to sound casual, "do you think we'll ever be able to have nicer things? Maybe a dress that isn't worn, or something to make our home feel a little better?" Tom looked at her with surprise. "Mary, I thought we were happy with what we have. But if you'd like something new..." I'll do my best to make it happen." Touched by his willingness, Mary felt a pang of guilt for doubting him. But the next day, when she saw James again, he leaned in, speaking softly as he handed her another gift, a small pendant made of gold. "Mary, you're worth more than this simple life. Why waste your beauty and youth on a man who can't give you the things you deserve?" These words seemed to slip past her defenses, and though she felt conflicted, she took the pendant, telling herself it was just a harmless gift. Over the next few days, James continued his visits, each time bringing a new gift or sweet words that filled her head with visions of wealth and comfort. Mary tried to push these thoughts away, but each time she saw James, her feelings of discontent grew stronger. She began to question if her life with Tom was truly enough. One evening, after a long day in the fields, Tom noticed that Mary seemed distant. She wore the pendant James had given her, and Tom felt a sting of hurt. She didn't have much to offer, but he had always believed that his love for her was more valuable than any possession. "Mary," he said softly, "is everything all right?" Mary hesitated, looking away. "Tom, I just I just want to know that you care about me. It's hard sometimes, living this way." Tom's heart sank. He could sense that something had changed in her, something beyond his control. But he loved her deeply and resolved to do whatever it took to make her happy. The next day, he went to his brother, asking for a small loan so he could buy Mary a new dress. He worked extra hours in his brother's field to earn the money, his determination fueled by the thought of seeing Mary smile. When he brought the dress home at evening, Mary's eyes lit up with joy. She twirled around, admiring herself in the mirror. For a moment, Tom felt a flicker of hope, but just as quickly, doubt returned when he saw her glance at the gold pendant around her neck. It was clear that her heart was still troubled. The days passed, and James continued to visit Mary, each time reminding her of the life she could have if she chose him. He painted pictures of luxury and ease, weaving fantasies of a life where she would want for nothing. Mary tried to resist, but with each passing day, James's words seemed to deepen the cracks in her heart. Finally, one day, James went a step further. He brought a box filled with sparkling jewelry, rings, bracelets, and a dazzling necklace. "Look, Mary," he whispered, holding a box out for her to see. "This is just a glimpse of what I could give you. Leave Tom and choose me, and all this could be yours." Mary stared at the jewels, her mind racing. She had never seen such beautiful things, and for a moment, she imagined herself wearing them, living a life of elegance. But then she thought of Tom, of the love they shared, and a deep sadness filled her heart. That night, as she and Tom sat together, the weight of her feelings became too much to bear. She looked at him, her eyes filled with sadness. "Tom, do you love me enough to give me everything? Would you give me more than just a simple life?" Tom felt his heart break as he saw the doubt in her eyes. He knew that James' words had taken root, that his love might not be enough to keep her by his side. He wanted to give her everything, but he had little more to offer than his heart. The next morning, Tom went out to the field, feeling lost and hopeless. As he worked, a stranger approached him. a man with a mysterious presence. "Why do you look so sad, my friend?" the stranger asked. Tom poured out his heart, explaining how he feared losing his wife to the wealthy man who was filling her mind with dreams of a better life. The stranger listened, nodding thoughtfully. Finally, he said, "I can help you. Take these 2 sticks. With the first, you can turn anyone into a donkey. With the second, you can change them back." Tom looked at the sticks in his hands, unsure if he could believe the man's words. But desperation drove him, and he decided to try. The next day, James came once again, his smooth words and grand promises filling Mary's mind. He assured her that all her dreams could come true if she left Tom and chose him instead. Hidden nearby, Tom listened, feeling his anger and hurt grow. Finally, he stepped out from his hiding place, holding the first stick. "Enough, James," he shouted, his voice trembling with pain. If you want to take my wife, let's see how you fare as a donkey." Before James could respond, Tom pointed the stick at him. In an instant, James transformed into a donkey, his fine clothes lying in a pile on the ground. Mary gasped, covering her mouth as she stared at the scene before her, shocked and horrified. "Tom, what have you done?" she cried, her voice shaking. Tom looked at her, his eyes filled with sorrow. "Mary, I love you more than anything, but I couldn't watch you slip away. I'd rather lose everything than lose you." As the donkey brayed, confused and distressed, Tom took the second stick and tapped James on the head, returning him to his human form. James, humiliated and furious, stared at Tom, unable to find the words to respond. "Leave our home, James," Tom said, his voice firm and steady. "Mary is my wife, and nothing you offer can change that." Shaken and humiliated, James stumbled away, never to return to their home again. In the silence that followed, Mary looked at Tom, tears filling her eyes. She realized how blind she had been, letting James's empty promises cloud her mind.